Welcome to the 48th and final episode inside of the malware analysis, which is inside of the SOC level 2 pathway in TryHackMe. And this is literally the last episode until they upload more rooms and more content for us to review and study together. And in this last episode, for now, we're going to go through the MalDoc static analysis, and we're going to be looking at malicious documents. And malicious documents are a lot of times used in phishing campaigns where you send this really curious and exciting type of an email, and you have an attachment, and you entice the user to click on it. And then when they click on that document, then there's a bunch of malware or macros that are launched from the document itself, and then next thing you know, you're inside of the computer and then inside the network, and you're doing a bunch of crazy things. So this is what we're going to be talking about in this particular episode today. And we have an overview here. So we have the introduction, connecting with the lab, initial access for spearphishing attachments. This is what these things are. Documents and their malicious use, PDF document structure, analyzing a PDF document, analyzing malicious JavaScript, Office doc analysis, OneNote, and then of course we have a conclusion. This room was developed by multiple people. It's actually very, very cool to see. So TryHackMe, obviously, we have CM Natick, we have Dex01, and Dr. Gonzo. So these are the creators of this particular room. Very, very grateful to them because without them, we would not be where we are today. And I'm super excited to actually be here with you today to be able to wrap up, as it stands for now, the SOC Level 2 pathway of TryHackMe, and of course the malware analysis module. If you're serious about your CySec education and want access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers: the supporter, agent, guardian, and master. Each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The agent, guardian, and master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button there, or you can go to youtube.com/@hankhackshackers/join, and you will be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. Now, without further ado, let us get into MalDoc static analysis. If you're watching this video and you have no idea what documents are, then we are in a lot of trouble, let me tell you. Documents are very commonly used. There is documents that can be created with Adobe Acrobat. There are documents that can be created with the Microsoft suite of software. There's the Google suite of software that you can use to create documents. So there's a lot of different sources that you can use to create documents, to read documents, to modify documents, etc. Therefore, this is a great attack vector for malicious actors to use to be able to mess with us and to try to exploit us and, deliver malware, steal sensitive information, carry out phishing attacks, etc. So malicious documents, therefore, is an essential part of cybersecurity strategy to be able to analyze them. And we can identify potential threats by analyzing the structure and content of a document and taking steps to mitigate it. This is particularly important today when more businesses rely on digital documents to share and source sensitive information than anything else. So we're going to be learning about the presence of malicious URLs, references to file names and API functions, IP addresses, domains, malicious scripts like PowerShell, JavaScript, VB script macros, etc. And we're going to understand the different variants of malicious documents, their structure, and how they are used in different phishing attacks. Then we're going to look at the tools and concepts required to analyze a malicious document. The objectives are the different document types like OneNote, DOTM, Docs, XLS, PDF, etc. Analyzing complex JavaScript, importance of malicious document analysis, PDF structure, and key components like objects, keywords, and filtering. And I want to make a quick note: if you are not good at JavaScript and you don't know how to read JavaScript, it's not that big of a deal, because you will have a tool like Google Gemini, which is a great analysis tool that you can go ahead and just drop the JavaScript in it, and then you can say, hey, what does this do, right? Can you explain what this block of code is trying to do? So that being said, let us first connect to our lab, and then from there we'll dive into the content. If you're not familiar with the TryHackMe environment, virtual machines and attack boxes are a very, very big piece of why TryHackMe is so amazing. And these are basically virtual machines that you can use to run a variety of different practical exercises, including security analysis, and of course hacking and penetration testing. And these are one of those things that you don't want to do in the real world because it's a felony. So it's great to do it in a controlled environment like TryHackMe. So I've already launched this virtual machine and it opened up in a split screen, but I'm super zoomed in onto my screen right now, so you can't really see it. If I wanted to connect to it via OpenVPN, I could, and I could connect from my specific computer. So once you're connected to OpenVPN, then you can go ahead and launch the virtual machine, and then you can secure shell into it. So we have username remnux, password is malware, and this is the IP address. So it would be remnux at this IP address, and then you would be prompted for the password, and then you would go ahead and enter the password. And that's basically it. That's like the only thing that we need to do to set up the lab environment. Now I'm going to click split view because it should already be done. And there it is. This is my machine here. So I'm going to open this up in full screen just so it's a little bit easier for us to use it. I will remove that piece, and then I'm going to zoom back in onto the screen right here to help read easier for you, and then we are ready to run. So first, let's talk about the spearphishing attachment. To understand what spearphishing attachments are, we need to first understand what spearphishing is, and then obviously who would use a spearphishing campaign to get what they need. And then of course an attachment, hopefully you understand what an attachment is. It's basically a file that is attached to an email. Now spearphishing is a variation of phishing. Phishing in general is when you send out emails trying to get people to click on a link or to open a malicious document. When you do spearphishing, you do the phishing campaign against a specific person or a specific group of people, because that person might have elevated privileges or they might be somebody important. So instead of phishing with a net, so to speak, and trying to catch a bunch of people, you're trying to go after a specific person or a specific handful of people that have what you need, essentially. So these are very common cyber attacks that target specific individuals or organizations through carefully crafted and personalized phishing emails. And the personalization part of it is very important because the person that you're targeting should feel like it's directed to them, for their company, etc. Now, this is something that is an attack vector that has been used by a lot of APT groups, and APT stands for an advanced persistent threat. And these are either an individual person or usually a nation state or state-sponsored group, which is basically a group of hackers and attackers that have an advanced persistent agenda in mind to be able to attack you, your company, your country, etc. And the idea is to trick the recipient into opening a malicious attachment that contains malware, ransomware, or something else. And by doing that, the attacker gets unauthorized access to the target system, allowing them to steal sensitive information, compromise systems, and achieve other nefarious goals. This is the screenshot from the MITRE attack framework for phishing and spearphishing attachments. And so there's a lot of sub-IDs underneath this, and there's a lot of campaigns that are associated with this because this is very popular, because the key element here is the human error element. So these systems usually are pretty secure. And the big thing that we're trying to focus on here, the big thing that we're trying to target is a human being, because human beings are emotional and they can be distracted and they could have a bad day and not pay attention, etc. There are so many reasons why a human being has flaws. And so the idea is to take advantage of those flaws, right? So APTs, APT groups, are highly organized cybercrime groups or state-sponsored entities known to use spearphishing to infiltrate the target, and they employ spearphishing with attachments as an effective way to bypass security measures and gain a foothold in the target environment. So APT.48, also known as Fancy Bear, is a Russian state-sponsored group that's been responsible for high-profile attacks like the 2016 Democratic National Committee hack. APT.28 used spearphishing emails with malicious attachments. Once the attachment was opened, the malware installed and allowed the attacker to exfiltrate sensitive information. APT-34 was known as, or is known as, Oil Rig, and it's an Iranian cyber espionage group that has targeted industries primarily focused in the Middle East. One of their tactics include spearphishing, and when the victim opens the attachment, a macro initiates and the download installation of malware, which then establishes a connection with the attacker's command and control server. Cozy Bear, APT-29, is another Russian state-sponsored group. They've targeted governments and organizations worldwide, and against the Norwegian parliament in 2020, they sent spearphishing emails with malicious attachments, and the attack resulted in unauthorized access to sensitive data. And then we have Menu Pass Group, APT-10, a Chinese cyber espionage group that has targeted organizations in various sectors, including government, aerospace, and healthcare. They have used spearphishing with malicious attachments, and when the attachment is opened, the malware contained within it compromises the target system, allowing them to exfiltrate sensitive data. So it's mostly about either encrypting their data to hold them at ransom, exfiltrating sensitive data, or establishing a remote connection so that you can essentially run commands and do a variety of different things. These are kind of the end results for a lot of these campaigns in general. So the malware families that are associated with these documents are Emotet, that is a banking Trojan that is often distributed through malicious email attachments, typically in the form of Microsoft Word documents. Once installed, Emotet can steal sensitive information like banking credentials and email addresses, and it can also be used to download additional malware. The MITRE reference includes a reference for Emotet, which can be found at this specific link. So you can just go to MITRE or attack.mitre.org and then look for Emotet. Just search for Emotet and you'll be able to find it. TrickBot is a banking Trojan, again, that is often distributed through malicious email attachments and is known for modular design, which allows attackers to add a new functionality to the malware as needed. And it has been used to deliver ransomware, exfiltrate data, and perform other types of malicious activity. And again, you can find it on the MITRE website by searching for it. Then we have the Quackbot. I want to say that's how you pronounce that. It's not Cackbot. I think it's called Quackbot. And it's a banking Trojan that is often distributed through malicious email attachments, known to steal banking credentials and other sensitive information. It's also capable of downloading and executing additional malware and can be used to create backdoors on infected systems. And of course, there's a MITRE reference for that. Then you have Drydex, again, banking Trojan, steal banking credentials and other sensitive information. It's been active since 2014 and one of the most prevalent banking Trojans in recent years. You can search for it in MITRE. Locky is a ransomware family that is often spread through malicious email attachments, typically in the form of Microsoft Word documents. It can encrypt the victim's files and demand a ransom payment. Zeus, another banking Trojan, and it's through malicious email attachments. It's known for ability to steal banking credentials and other sensitive information and used in numerous high-profile attacks. And then there's Petya, a ransomware family that's often spread through malicious attachments, and it's been active since 2016. Encrypt the victim's entire hard drive, making it much more difficult to recover from than other types of ransomware. So from which family does the Locky malware belong to? And so we have it. It's a ransomware family that often spread through malicious email attachments, typically in the form of Microsoft Word documents. So I guess we can say Microsoft. Nope. So from which family does the malware belong to? Okay, so ransomware is the family that they're looking for. So Locky malware is a ransomware. What is the sub-technique ID assigned to spearphishing attachments? So we can actually find it right here. So the sub-technique ID is T1566. It's right here, T1566.001. So it's a sub-technique of the initial access, T1506001. Or not. What is it? I can't believe I forgot it already. 1566001. My bad. So 1566001. There it is. Okay, great. So let's talk about documents and their malicious use. I'm not going to read too much into this because you should know what these various document types are, but obviously these are content, or these are assets that are used to deliver malware or execute code on a user system. And it's very important, and it's important to be cautious, when you're opening these documents from unknown sources. So if you don't recognize the source, or if you don't recognize the conversation or anything like that, do not open the document. If you want to do something where you can analyze the document, download it. Don't click on it to actually open it. Download it and then go to VirusTotal and connect it as an attachment to see if it is malicious, but do not open the document. It's very important. You can right click on a document and download it. There's usually an arrow, like a drop down arrow that's available for an attachment where you can click on the arrow and download it. But as long as you don't open it, you are not running the document. Therefore, whatever is installed in it, whatever malware is installed in it, won't run. So PDF, the common one, portable document format is widely used, that can be opened on different devices. The attacker can also use this to deliver malware or launch attacks. They can embed a malicious code or link in the file that, when opened, can exploit vulnerabilities in the system. It can be used for phishing attacks, including links that redirect users to fake websites where they are prompted to enter personal information. So that's another thing. Inside of the PDF contents, there can be instructions, and then inside of that, there would be a link that they can click, and then they would go to the website, enter personal information. DocX is the Microsoft Word document, and Google Drive also allows you to do this. So Google Docs also allow you to download a DocX type of a format that you can open in Microsoft Word. And again, they can be used to deliver malware using macros, which are a series of commands that automate tasks within the document. Attackers embed malicious macros in the Word document that can execute code on the system. They can create a Word document that prompts users to enable macros to view the contents of the document, which then executes the malicious code that can steal personal information. So it can prompt the user to enable macros to view the document, and then by enabling macros, that's where the code exists, and then they can go ahead and run their code. Excel SX is an Excel spreadsheet, also known as Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, that can be used to deliver malware by using macros. So they can embed malicious macros in the Excel sheet, and that can execute code. An attacker can create a sheet that prompts them to enable macros, very similar to what previously happened. PPTX is PowerPoint presentations, and it can be used to deliver malware or phishing attacks that can enable malicious code or links in the presentation that, when opened, can exploit vulnerabilities in the user system or redirect users to fake websites where they're prompted to enter the personal information. So inside the PowerPoint, there would be either malicious code or links in the presentation that they can actually run or click on. XML is the kind of like the advanced version of HTML. So XML is inside the same family as HTML, and it stands for Extensible Markup Language, and it's used to store and transport data. Attackers can use XML documents to exploit vulnerabilities in a user system. For example, attackers can inject malicious code into an application by uploading an XML file that contains code designed to exploit vulnerabilities in the application. And OneNote is a digital note-taking application that allows users to organize and share their notes across devices, hence the name OneNote. So you're using OneNote to share with a bunch of different users. And in itself, it's not typically used to deliver malicious content, because attackers can abuse OneNote to deliver phishing attacks. They can also use OneNote to store and share malware. For example, they can create a OneNote notebook that appears to contain legitimate information, but it includes a link to a malware download. When the user clicks on the link, the malware is downloaded and executed on the system. So with that one click, they download and execute the malware. So we've learned about some very common types, and now we can see how we can look at the details of them to explore the malware and essentially prevent from them launching. So let's look at the structure of a PDF document. Before we start analyzing them, we need to know what they actually look like and how they look like kind of behind the scenes, so to speak, under the hood. So it consists of a series of objects that are organized into a specific structure, and understanding the structure is important for analyzing and working with the PDF. So this is the overview of the structure. We have the PDF header, and this is the first line in the PDF that contains the signature and the version number. And it's a sequence of characters that identifies the file as a PDF. So this is what the PDF header looks like. And so it's the PDF, and then of course version 1.7. Then you have the PDF body, which contains a series of objects that are organized in a specific structure. Each object is identified by an object number and generation number, which are used to uniquely identify the object within the document. So you have object 1, type catalog, object 2, type pages, object 3 right here, page, object 4, page, etc., right? The PDF cross-reference table is a table that provides a map of the locations of all of the objects in the PDF file. And this is used to quickly locate the objects within the file. And so XREF is the cross-reference keyword right there. And then you can see these are the cross-reference. This is the cross-reference table essentially. And these are the locations that you would find various pieces of data. PDF trailer is the last section of the file that provides information about the document, like the location of the cross-reference table, the size of the file, and any encryption or security settings. And then you can identify it by looking for the trailer, start cross-reference 788, end of file, right? So now we understand these, we can explore the keywords that have usage within the PDF. So JavaScript or JS points to JavaScript that will run when the document is opened. Names is the file names that will most likely be referenced or referred to by the PDF itself. Open action or additional action, AA, is the element function to carry out an action like running a script. Embedded file shows other files embedded within the PDF. URI or submit form are links to other URLs on the internet, and launch is a keyword used to run embedded scripts within the PDF file itself or run new additional files that have been downloaded by the PDF. Analyzing the simple PDF document, which is what's available inside of our virtual machine here. So we're just going to open the terminal, go to the desktop, and do Notepad simple PDF, and it will open it in text format, and we'll be able to recognize the PDF structure and the components as we can see right here. So you can see that if it's opened inside of a text editor instead of being opened inside of a PDF reader like Adobe Acrobat, it looks very different than what it would look like if you actually opened it up inside the PDF, meaning you can actually see PDF version up here, you can see the object, and you can see another object, so on and so forth. And so we can see that there's a catalog object here, and then we have another one that actually has an author, creator, creation date, etc. So we want to find the author of the simple PDF document. So I'm just going to open up my terminal. This is like a really interesting version of Linux here. And what I want to do is I want to find the PDF document. So where is it? It would be inside the desktop, I think they said. So if we're going to go here, there you go, simple PDF. So we'll do Notepad, and then we'll do simple PDF. And then it'll open it up in the Notepad. There you go. So this is, we can see the structure, and the author here is Ben. So we're looking for the author of the simple PDF document, and that would be Ben. All right, cool. So let's do the analysis. Now we can understand what the structure is, right? So we have the PDF structure. Now we're going to do some analysis. When we want to analyze a PDF document, we could do it using a variety of different tools. So one of the simple ones that we just saw was the Notepad version, right? So we just did Notepad, gave it the name of the PDF, and then it opened it for us, and then we can analyze its contents. And this is kind of the least sophisticated way, because we have to manually sift and sort through this to try to find what we want. If we examine it, we can get PDF version, author name, objects, keywords like JavaScript, encode action. We can find the trailer. And similar kind of information is obtained using the strings command to extract the strings from the document. But then there are tools, right? So there's PDF id.py. So this is a Python script used to summarize the objects or keywords found within the document. So objects 18, stream 3, JavaScript, what is it, 1 and 2, I guess. So there's JS and there's JavaScript. So 1, 2, open action is 1, etc. So objects, this document contains 18 objects. It contains 3 streams. It contains 1 JavaScript and 1 JS instance. So I wonder if that would count as 2 technically. Open action indicates that an action will be performed when the document is open. So it could be running a JavaScript or downloading a payload. Therefore, the object is worth examining. Then we have the PDF parser Python script, and it's used to parse the PDF, search objects, filter, etc. So you can look at the help menu, just like many other things inside of Linux or even Windows. If you're inside the command line, you can always either do -H or you can do --help, and it'll pull up the help menu, as you can see right here. So getting the version, filters, etc. So the command simple PDF, just combined with the PDF parser Python, it will bring the information up for you, right? So we have, there's an actual comment here. We have object 1, the object action is what it is right here, object 7, and then object actions essentially. So the tool returns all the objects it finds with the PDF document. We can look at the search option to return only the objects that contain open action. So you do PDF parser Python, PDF parser.py, excuse me, and then you do search, and then you do open action as the keyword that you're looking for, and then you give it the file name. And then it only pulls the objects that actually have open action in them. So for example, object 1, we saw that it had open action, but now we're only pulling the one that actually has open action. So it shows object 1, and it includes open action, which is referring to object 6. So that's the other piece, right? So then we can use the object option to retrieve object 6. So PDF parser object 6, simple PDF, right? And then it pulls object 6 for us. And now we can see that there's the JavaScript reference. So there's an action here, and it's a JavaScript reference. And then there's this whole instance ID right here. So that's the last two results that conclude when the PDF form document is open, the open action will be triggered, resulting in the execution of the JavaScript code. And the JavaScript code is what we found right here. So we can also search for JavaScript as the search key term, and then it will, of course, pull up the element for us that has the JavaScript, and then it feels like it's an encoded version of the code. So that's the one that only object that points to an actual JavaScript code. Then we have PBDF, or what am I saying? Or PeepDF. Maybe that's probably the way that we can pronounce it. I looked at it as PPDF, but it's probably PeepDF. It's another analysis tool used to determine if any malicious element in the document. It also has an interactive option to interact with these objects, so we can use PeepDF, simple PDF, to retrieve important information. For example, the hash values, right? These are very, very crucial a lot of times, because you can actually search for hash values on VirusTotal to see if it's malicious. The number of streams that we have here. We have the open action element that's inside of here as well. So it says suspicious elements. There's an open action element. JavaScript right here. Now this one actually has, I think it says 6. No, it should say 1. So I think the stuff inside the parentheses is the number of open action calls, and then the stuff inside the square brackets is the name of the object or the number of the object. So you can see right here. So objects, and it goes through 18. And then open action is inside the first object, JS and JavaScript are inside the 6th object, so on and so forth, right? We can see the interactive interface using PeepDF-I, which will give us an interactive interface, and then you can do help command, and you'll get things like that, right? So PeepDF-I simple PDF, and then it'll open up a new command line. You can see PPDF right here, and then you can do help, and it'll give you a bunch of different things that you can actually pull. So some of the things, like for example, using object and then doing object 6, which will actually pull the information. So for example, we need one of the answers that we need is the flag value here. So we can actually pull the object 6 value and then get that, right? So there you go. You see it right here. We can also extract JS to view the JavaScript code. And the extract URI option can be used to extract URLs within the document. So you can do extract, and then it'll do usage extract URI or JS version. So then you can do extract JS, and then it'll go ahead and extract it. And again, that's the flag that's inside of the app alert JavaScript line, right? So we're able to look at the PDF and extract indicators of compromise from it, and we're going to look at a more complex JavaScript and see how to extract IOCs from the embedded JavaScript. So now we need to get that flag that's inside the JavaScript code. How many open action objects were found within the document? What is it? I think it was 1, right? Right? How many encoded objects were found in the document? That's also a really good idea. So let's see if we can actually find the encoded objects that are here. Let me see if I could see it here. Objects 18, technically. I don't know if it's actually encoded objects. Let's see. Is it encoded objects? Is 18? No. It's actually a single digit number. And what are the numbers of the encoded objects? Separate with a comma. So let's see if it's inside of these screenshots. If not, I mean, no big deal, because we could literally just go ahead and run them. And I will just go ahead and do PeepDF and do it in interactive mode, because I also need to get the flag in here. And then from there, we'll be able to get our encoded documents as well. So let's go ahead here. I'm just going to close the text editor here, and we'll go to our screen right here. So we'll do peep, peep df like that. We'll do -i, and then we'll do simple PDF. And then it should open inside of the interactive format of this piece right here. Let me see if anything else is going to open. There you go. Okay, great. So now it opened. It actually gives us the hash value, right? Size, version, binary, objects are 18, streams are 3, URIs, comments, errors, nothing like that. Catalog 1, info 7, objects 18, streams 3, encoded 2. There we go. So we see the encoded value right there that we can actually pull. So encoded, boom. And then what are the numbers of the encoded objects? That's actually very good too. So 15 and 18 are the numbers of the encoded objects. So we'll go ahead and input that over here. Great. So now finally we need to get the JavaScript code. So that can be done with a few different things. So I can just do extract.js, for example. And since I'm inside of an interactive menu, I can just literally type extract.js, and that'll bring it up, and there it is. So luckily this isn't harmful. That's what the code says. So Control C usually copies it, but I think I just closed out of it. Yeah, so that's not what I was intending to do. So right click and copy is what I wanted to do. All right, there we go. Now we can paste it. No way. Why can't I copy and paste? That's insane. Okay, so I can't copy paste for whatever reason. So luckily this isn't harmful. That is the flag. Cool. Let's go to analyzing malicious JavaScript. Now we have a scenario. So there is a malicious PDF document. A junior SOC analyst has extracted the embedded JavaScript and handed it over to you to have a detailed look at the code. And as a SOC level 2 analyst, we need to examine the JavaScript code, deobfuscate if possible, and extract the indicators of compromise. So in the remnux JavaScript code directory, there's a code in a text editor using that's basically it. We're going to open it, and this is what we see right here. So this is the JavaScript code. It does not necessarily look malicious, I guess. We have remarkable library pool manner, growing slightly, gas outside, share page window. So that sounds like a piece of code. Inflation creation, derived behavior. That's also a piece of code. What else do we have? Feed, bus, commercial, bother. That's also a piece of code. So these things, it's complex and time consuming, contains randomly generated variable names which don't make any sense, contains obfuscated code that needs to be deobfuscated. So box.js is the tool that we're going to be using to deobfuscate this thing. So box.js, embedded code.js, that's basically it. And then it's going to deobfuscate. It's going to pull things for us, right? So we can see that there's a bunch of GET requests, and all of the indicators of compromise are saying that it fetched a URL, right? And so, you know, the WP admin is a WordPress link that takes you to the admin of the WordPress website. There's the uploads, there's the files, app, etc. So a controlled environment returns all the IOCs. It creates a subfolder that contains useful files like what we see right here. So we actually have the results of the analysis that we have. And then inside of it, so if we do the ls al to show us everything, including the permissions to it, we can see that there's actually a new file, it seems to be, that is available inside of the results, because this is a directory. And inside of the results, there is another JSON file that I guess is probably important for us to use. So what's the name of the dumped file that contains information about URLs? I'm going to take a guess. And I'm going to say it's urls.json. And this is probably what they blurred out for us, but that was just so easy. How many URLs were extracted from the JavaScript? What is the full URL, which contains the keyword slideshow? And we need to defang it using CyberChef. And that's basically it. So how many URLs were extracted? And let me see. So it says 10 seconds, specify another timeout. It doesn't say how many unless we actually run it. So let's go ahead and run the thing. So box.js is the name of the tool that we're going to end up using. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on this a little bit. Let's clear the screen. And we want to go to not this location. We want to go to the, what is it, JavaScript code? I think that's what it was, right? So what's my working directory? Remnux. Yeah, so I'm going to go to JavaScript code and embedded code JS. I think that's what it was, right? Is that where it's located? Yeah, embedded code JS. Okay, that's what we want. So then we are going to do box-js, and then we're going to do embedded code JS, and then we're going to press enter. And then it's going to pull the information. It's going to create a directory that holds all of the URLs for us. And then we're going to try to see how many URLs are extracted. So now I can see that there is the results. So I will do embedded, cd embedded code JS embedded. There we go. Results. And then now we have the URLs. There we go. So URLs JSON. So let's see if I can just do a cat of this and see what's inside of it. And there it is. So there isn't too many. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That seems to be the count here. So there we go. 9 is the answer. And what's the full URL of the keyword slideshow inside of it? So we got slideshow, and then we want this full URL right here. Hopefully I can actually copy this and paste it. Let's see if this will allow me to paste it. It still doesn't allow me to paste. That's pretty annoying. So what if we do this, do copy link? Let's see if we can do that. It still doesn't allow. That is obnoxious that I can't copy this thing. That's so freaking annoying. Why am I not allowed to copy it? Copy as HTML maybe? No. That is annoying. Okay, so manual typing it is. Okay, so I typed it onto into my note, and we need to go ahead and defang it now. And what did I just do here? There it is. So let's just delete that. So defanging a URL is actually very easy using a beautiful tool like CyberChef. So we're going to do defang URL as our recipe, and then we're just going to do that. And so there you go. It automatically goes and defangs it for us. So there we go. We got that. We're going to copy that. We're going to go over here and we're going to paste it here. And that is the defanged URL. Now, it says that this is not the answer. So I'm guessing, what? Am I missing the last? I think I'm missing the last / right there. So we'll do that as well. And then we'll copy that one. And let's see if that's the answer. It's not. What the hell? Okay, this is the final format of the answer. So as you can see, it's a little bit different from what we got from CyberChef, because CyberChef did put the square brackets around this section right here. And the rest of it pretty much is exactly the same as we got from CyberChef. It's just that initial square brackets have been removed, as you can see. The rest of it is pretty much identical, and that's it. So it's aristonbentray.com, slideshow, etc., etc. And there we go. All right, cool. So now let's analyze Office documents. Word documents, also known as doc or docs extension files, are essentially created by Microsoft Word, or they're created by Google Docs. They typically have the doc or docs extension. They contain text, images, tables, charts, a bunch of other types of content. So there are two Word formats. There's the structured storage format. It's a binary format used by Microsoft Word versions 97 to 2003, and they have extensions of .doc, .ppt, XML, etc. And an Office Open XML format is XML, XML, used by Microsoft Word versions 2007 and later. It's actually a zipped file containing all related data within the document. We can unzip this to see the content just by replacing the extension with .zip before unzipping. and they have extensions as docx, docm, etc. So what makes these things malicious are the macros. It's like a very big piece that can be done. They're small VBA scripts that can be embedded in the Word document. They can be used to automate tasks, but they can also be used to execute malicious code. And malicious macros can be used to download and install malware on the user system. So the code essentially could be a GET request, for example, from some domain that the hacker controls, and then on that domain they have another file that can be downloaded, and then they can also use the macros to steal information or perform other malicious actions. So they could basically just put code inside of the macros of the document, and then from there whatever the code is would end up running, and then it would do whatever the actions are that the hacker wanted them to do. Embedded objects are objects that have actually been embedded into the document. So for example, an image or an audio video file or any type of other file that's actually been embedded into the document is considered an embedded object. And they can contain these objects that are designed to exploit vulnerabilities in the software used to open the file. Links, just like URLs, basically anything along those lines. Links to websites that host malware or phishing pages designed to steal credentials. Exploits, which is code that exploits vulnerabilities in the software that are used to open the file. They can be used to download and install malware on the system, gain unauthorized access, etc. Hidden content. So malicious Word documents can also contain hidden content that is not visible to the user but can be used to execute malicious code. That's also something that when I saw, I was like, that actually sounds really simple, but it's kind of powerful how effective it is. So analyzing a malicious doc. So we have suspicious.doc inside of our Word doc folder. TRID or TRID, TRID maybe, that might be the thing. I think it's TRID, so I'm just going to call it that. This is what it looks like. So TRID suspicious doc, we can see that it's a Microsoft document. We can see the older version potentially. Then there's the OLEID, so OLEID, used to extract basic information to gain an understanding of the structure. So this is what we can see right here. So the indicator, OLE format, application name, VBA macros, true, meaning that they actually do have macros in there. The document is suspicious, it's not encrypted, it does contain VBA macros, and it's a Word document. Then we have OLE meta, OLE meta, and this is again what it looks like. So it actually gives us more details. So the code page, title, subject, the author, keywords, template, the creation time, the last saved time, creating application, the code page doc property, and then the values itself. So lines, paragraph, scale, crop, etc., etc., etc. So these are all key information. Creation and last saved, the author's name, OLE time, the creation modification time of different stream objects that are present in the document. And these are the things that we can see right here. So these seem to be actually very, very important as well, because you can see the root information. What is it? There's macros, macro project, macros, VBA. All of those things are available. OLE map that gives us details about the different sectors of the file, and you can see those here. OLE VBA, used for extracting the VBA objects that it finds within the file, and shares the summary of the suspicious elements that it finds. So we can see the VBA objects themselves. So macro disk document CLS, suspicious doc, this is the stream, new macro BAS, that's the stream, auto open, document open, auto open itself has all of these things in here. And so we can see that there is PowerShell being launched, and then we have in a hidden window, so you don't actually get to see that it was launched. And then in the background, in the PowerShell, in the hidden PowerShell window, this whole thing is going to be ran. And so this looks like an encoded string. So it looks like a base64 encoded string, basically. It shows the macros found within the document. The summary of the elements are here. So we have auto open, we have a suspicious shell, we have the run, PowerShell executable. These are all indicators of compromise, essentially. So it contains code that will auto-execute when the user opens the document. It contains suspicious base64 encoded strings, contains PowerShell code. Then we have the Python script for OLDump, I guess. It can be used to check if there are any macros embedded in a document. The so uppercase M / lowercase m, will be mentioned against the object stream, indicating that the stream is a macro which needs to be checked. So we can see this right here, this piece right here, uppercase M, lowercase m, on lines 7 and 8. We can see that right here. Or I guess objects 7 and 8 contain the macros that we need to investigate further. We can also use metadata or -m to display the information. So for example, the reference of the Python file, -M suspicious doc, and then it'll give you again the author name, creation time, last save time, and various other data as well. We can use the -s, so for the object 7, using the -s to see what macro is enabled in the document. So we can see under, and then -v I guess would be for verbose. That's usually what it's like. And so again, we can see the string that is embedded inside of it, create object wscript.shell.run. So those things are all done. And then the basic 64 encoded string, which will execute when the document opens. So Viper Monkey is another one that can be used to analyze and emulate the behavior of the macros inside this document. We can run it and we can see these things right here. So suspicious document, starting emulation, traceback, and then we can see that no module, running export, all Excel, this document, OLV stream, this document. So it runs and emulates the embedded macro in an isolated environment, trying to extract IOCs and useful information. Okay, so this is kind of like a sandbox essentially that would run it in a controlled environment. And then we can see what it's trying to do, founding the possible URL right here, schemas, open XML formats, auto open, found possible intermediate IOC base 64 PowerShell. That's the string right there. And another parameter for the PowerShell, which is this massive string right here. Okay, so very good. The URL it extracted is indeed a false positive. It also extracted PowerShell script that will execute. And we can use CyberChef to go ahead and look at the decoded version of it. So very, very important. It's now evident that the document will try to connect to the C2 server on port 4444 to access the malware called stage2exe. And we can use CyberChef to look at that the URL as well. And that's also very, very useful. So from a SOC analyst perspective, we will move on to creating a detection rule that outbound traffic to detect if any host has communicated to that server in the past or if there's any connection in the future. So very, very useful. So what is the author name of the document? How many macros are embedded in the document? What's the URL extracted from the suspicious doc file? And to be able to do that, I think I'm going to use the Viper Monkey, assuming that we actually have it on our Remnux machine. So I'm going to go inside of the Word doc location and I'm going to do vmonkey. And I'm going to see if I can access it, right? It's vmonkey suspicious doc. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of organize this piece a little bit. Okay, great. So now we can do clear. We will go back to, and then there should be a doc folder. Let's go back one more, excuse me. And then go back one more. And what do we have? Is it the OneNote? No, Word doc. So we're going to go into the Word doc location. And there we go. So vmonkey, right? vmonkey. My God. Spell that right. There we go. And then suspicious document. So let's see if we have, I hope we do actually, because it seems to be the best tool to be able to use. Okay, great. So there it is. And then it has the strings for us. Okay, great. Awesome. Very, very exciting. The issue that I have is that I can't seem to copy and paste any of these things, which is it's very inconvenient. And I can't do this without the copy paste element, because this is going to be impossible to type without copy paste. So that's the piece that I'm like, oh my God. So please, Lord, please let me be able to copy and paste this string right here, because I would be screwed if I wasn't able to do this. And let's see. Oh my God, please, 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 please. I wonder if I can access the internet inside of this thing. If it's connected to the internet, that might make it a little bit more useful, but if it's not connected to the internet, I am in trouble. Okay, so this is very useful. I don't know if it's connected to the internet or not, but there is a saved link right here from base64 that opens up CyberChef. So hopefully I can now paste it, but no, it didn't even save anything. It didn't copy anything. There you go. Okay, great. Okay, cool. So there we go. That's the thm.redteam.thm. And so that's the domain, right? So HTTP, yeah, that's the domain. So we're going to, hopefully now we can copy this. I feel like it's Remnux that just won't let me, oh, no, it's not, you see? So URL extracted from the suspicious file, it didn't let me copy it. So thm.redteam.thm stage2.exe. That's the domain that we're gonna get. thm.redteam.thm stage2.exe. Well, close enough. Okay, great. At least that worked. So how many macros are embedded in the document, and what's the author name of the document? So let's just minimize this real quick. And we need to find the author name, and we need to find the number of macros embedded in it. So let's see if we can find that here. Looking at the top of our results here, we have macro and then macro. So it seems that there are 2 macros. So I wonder if that is the answer. Great. And now the author name of the document. I couldn't find the author name inside of that output, but there is one of the other tools that we were able to use that gave us the author name. So it's not the, so let's see, which one is it? This is the olddump.py, and then getting the dash capital M. So let's see if I can just reference olddump.py like that, dash capital M, and then do suspicious doc, and then let's see if it'll run, and it did. Okay, great. The author is CM Natic, which I think is one of the creators of this room, right? Is that? Yeah, it is. It's CM Natic, the creator of the room. Okay. All right, CM Natic, I see you. Cool. There we go. Now we're going to go through OneNote. As we mentioned earlier, this is a note-taking tool that can be used in collaboration with other people, and it's a part of Microsoft's suite of tools, and allows the user to create and organize digital notebooks containing various types of content like text, images, audio recordings, etc. And it ends with a .1 or .OneNote extension. So we can look at the various entities. So for example, Malware Bazaar, and we can look through their database to see what different APT groups have actually started using OneNote documents in their campaigns. And so if we actually go to Malware Bazaar and we just search for file type 1 to display all the OneNote documents, and then you can see a bunch of entries, right? You see the SHA-256 hash values, the file type, signature, metastealer, tags, etc., the reporter or the person, the entity, the computer, not the computer, the company that reported it. So we're going to use one of the documents to practice analyzing and see if we can extract some obfuscated code. And it's inside of course, the OneNote docs where we can see invoice.1. And we can use TRID to look at it. As we can see, it's a Microsoft OneNote. We can pull strings and look at the top 20 strings as we can see, and you can see iec.ch show up a few times. There's an ID of something that seems to be coded here. Some references to some suspicious domains and some embedded code. And another utility, OneDump, to get the objects inside the document. So Python 3 OneDump-H. And this is what we can see here for the help menu for OneDump. And so if we do the invoice.1 just to kind of look at it, we can see that it has these elements here. So .png files, right? And so the document contains 6 objects. We can look at each object one by one. By the looks of it, we can confirm that objects 5 and 6 seem to have HTML files. And the S flag to select the 5th object to dump it onto the screen. So S flag, select number 5, and then the invoice 1, and then you can see that this is the contents of it. And now we can see there's JavaScript in here, There is a variable hello, variable content, etc. So containing obfuscated JavaScript and VB script, we'll save it by using the command python3 and then -d invoice, and then just use this element right here, that kind of arrow that points to object 5, and open it in Notepad. And then this is what we can see again right here. And then you can also see these pieces right here, the right reg, and then we see variable body, variable function, and inside of the variable function there seems to be this right here. So it says body.replace this string, and then it's replacing it inside of this, all of these things is being replaced by that string, and then the registry delete is actually deleting that registry. So the code clearly uses a replace function to remove the string 5and from the obfuscated. We'll use CyberChef to replace and clear the code. So we can do find and replace 5and then we're going to replace what? I guess nothing. It seems to be it just seems to be that we're just going to find and replace it with nothing. And then there's going to be a global match, and then we're going to do generate code beautifully to actually organize the code for us so that we can see what the code is trying to do. It's placed on the desktop, as they say. The code makes more sense, and it contains some important IOCs, so we can see that the document contains 2 suspicious HTML objects, contains the obfuscated code and the cleared out by removing the 5and. It's writing the obfuscated script to the registry, runs the script. C2 domain is this domain, downloads the payload using the curl command right here, and outputs it into index 1, sleeps for 15,000 milliseconds using sleep right here, runs the payload using the run DLL2 inside of shell right here, and then deletes the registry. So what's the value used in the sleep function? We have 15,000. The curl command is being used to download from a URL and is saving the payload in a PNG file. What is being saved inside the PNG? So this is what seems to be being saved, I think. Or no, actually it outputs the payload into this right here. So that's the PNG file that is being outputted. There we go. And how many objects are found in the invoice.document? And we saw that answer over here as well, because it said there are 6 objects. So I don't think I even need to run it. So maybe, let's see. Yeah, there you go. So I didn't even need to run the exercise manually. We see that they already did it for us and they pulled all the information for us. So that part, I mean, there's no other questions that we need to answer. So we're done. This was a cool room. I've always liked the idea of macros inside of documents, and so looking at malicious documents and what the various elements of the malicious documents are and how we can pull that data from them, and how everything falls under the object, and inside of the object you can embed these various codes, and of course you can base 64 encode something so it doesn't visually, you can't see what it's being said, but it still runs the code, which is very, very important to kind of wrap the head around. So obviously we looked at different document types, the PDF structure, how to perform static analysis on documents like PDF, doc, and OneNote documents, and dynamic analysis on malicious documents, and the obfuscation for these various script codes will be covered in future videos. And you can always follow TryHackMe on Discord. I also have a Discord channel that's a part of the Hackaholics Anonymous community that it's literally $4.99 and you'll get lifetime access to it. So if you want to continue to be a supporter, it would be amazing if you just stayed a supporter, but technically just to add like really a lot of value for $4.99, you can become a member of the Discord community forever. You'll get lifetime access to it. So there's a bunch of other tiers of memberships that you'll find out in a little bit, and you'll find out what extra benefits those tiers of memberships get. But for the most part, that's all we got. And I hope you actually found value from this video. If you did indeed find value from this video and from this channel, I do encourage you to like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out on this channel, because there's a lot of videos coming out on this channel all the time. There's also the videos that already exist on the channel. If you have not checked them out, I would recommend you go check those out. So there's a few playlists that I'm working on right now. This is actually the very last episode so far of SOC Level 2, because TryHackMe has been known to add rooms later on, and they add more content to each individual playlist. So we may end up coming back and adding more videos to SOC Level 2, but as it stands, we are officially done with SOC Level 2. So the next playlist that we want to work on finishing is the CompTIA Pentest Plus, which is what you actually see right here. And the CompTIA Pentest Plus currently has 12 videos on it already. Every Friday, there's a new episode that comes out for that. I finished the Network Plus from CompTIA. I finished the Security Plus, Linux Plus, and a variety of other playlists, and these are like really robust playlists. A lot of people have used them to pass their certification exams, so that's something that I'm really excited about. It says 6 videos in here, but it's literally, I think, like probably 25-30 hours of content that's inside of each of these playlists. So they're very in-depth, they're comprehensive playlists. And the same thing is going to apply to the Pentest Plus. And then we're going to get into AI for cybersecurity, where you can integrate the API of AI with a variety of different security software so that you can create an agent, an automatic agent that will do a variety of things for you. We have the members only playlist for Hackaholics Anonymous that has the Python descriptions and the code by line by line of code that we use to create Python scripts, so that you can go ahead and create your own scripts for either your own computer or for your job and things like that. And then there's SOC Level 1, SOC Level 2, security engineering. There's a lot of stuff, right? So you will never, I don't think you will run out of content when you join this channel. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, if you're interested in hacking, if you're interested in security analysis in general, or system administration in general, I really feel like you will get a lot of value out of this channel. So if you haven't done so already, make sure that you like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified the next time that a video comes out on this channel. If you're serious about your CySec education and want access to me on Discord, consider joining Hackaholics Anonymous. We have 4 tiers: the Supporter, Agent, Guardian, and Master. Each tier gets their own Discord server and early access to content. The Agent, Guardian, and Master levels get exclusive content, exclusive downloads, monthly Python automations, live streams with me every month, plus so much more. And to join, you can simply click the link in the description below, or you can go to our homepage and click the join button there, or you can go to youtube.com/@HankHacksHackers/join, and you will be able to join Hackaholics Anonymous. I hope I see you in the Discord chats. If not, I hope I see you in the comment section, and that is it for today. So boy, Hank Hackerson at Hank Hacks Hackers, your favorite network and system attacker/protector. If no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Love, peace, and chicken grease, and I'll see you in the next video later.